People could say whatever they want to say. It'll always be in our hearts, and make it whatever we can make it.
February 2010. A modest house in Connecticut. A small camera crew the twins had hired themselves with their own money. Two young mothers in their mid-30s, both married, both with multiple young children running around, both wearing matching outfits and matching makeup, sitting in front of those cameras with the kind of ambition you can only have when you have not yet been broken by the entertainment industry. Their names were Darcey and Stacey Silva. They were not yet famous. They were not yet on TLC. They were not yet meme legends or magazine covers or Times Square billboard stars. They were just two twin sisters from Middletown with their husbands, their kids, and a wild idea. They wanted to be reality TV stars. So they made a pilot. They called it The Twin Life. They edited it into a 10-minute super trailer sizzle reel. They sent it to networks. And then, fans, they waited. And waited. And waited. The phone never rang. Welcome back to your home. Deepest 90-day fiancé documentaries on YouTube. Tonight, we are doing the deep dive on the lost chapter that every longtime fan of this franchise has heard whispered about, but very few have actually seen. The Twin Life. The Silva twins' very first attempt at breaking into reality TV. The forgotten 2010 pilot. The Frank Bollok rap career. The Silvatropolis household. The Kathy Lee Gifford and Hoda Kotb segment on Today. The casting agent meeting. The dream that almost died. And the slow, painful, fascinating decade that followed before the dream finally came true on TLC. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you are going to see Darcey and Stacey Silva in a way the franchise has never properly shown them. As young women, as hopeful women, as women who, in their 30s, were already chasing the future they would not catch up until their 40s. This story, fans, will change how you see everything that came after. Let's set the stage properly. In 2010, the world was very different. The Kardashians were just starting to dominate reality television. Keeping Up with the Kardashians had launched on E! In 2007 and was, by 2010, beginning to break into mainstream cultural consciousness. The blueprint for family-driven, brand-friendly reality TV had been laid. Networks were hungry for the next telegenic American family that could do what the Kardashians were doing. The Silva twins, watching from Connecticut, saw the opportunity. They had 4 kids between the two of them. They had matching faces. They had a brand they were starting to build. They had husbands who were photogenic and unusual. They had a family dynamic that they thought, with the right pitch, could be the next big thing. So they did what aspiring reality stars in 2010 did. They self-produced. They hired a small camera crew. They paid for the production. Themselves. Darcy said later on the Sarah Fraser show that it took about 3 to 5 months to film. The crew followed them for weeks. They captured daily life. They captured the family chaos. They captured the dreams. They captured the husbands. They captured the kids. They captured everything. And then they edited it down into what the industry calls a sizzle reel. A 10-plus minute super trailer designed to sell networks on the concept. Twin Life was born. Let's break down what was actually in the trailer, because the contents, fans, are honestly amazing. The opening sequence begins with the twins introducing themselves over a flashy theme song. They say, quote, "I'm Darcy, and I'm Stacey. We're two busy moms and wives dreaming of making it in showbiz. Oh, and did I mention we're twins? And we live under one roof? There's always a double dose of drama in our world. Welcome to the Twin Life." Yes, fans. They actually had a theme song, and the man on the rap verse of that theme song was Darcey's then-husband, Frank Bollok. Frank, fans, was at the time, by his own description, an up-and-coming rapper. He performed under the name Ruse. He had at least one song available online called Tit. The Twin Life trailer featured Frank rapping in his living room. He laid down a verse for the theme song. The vibe, fans, was very early 2010s. Backyards, loose graphic tees, aspirational hand gestures. The kind of homemade swagger you can only find in a sizzle reel produced by a family that believes, deep in its bones, that the world is just one network executive away from discovering them. Frank Bollok, the up-and-coming rapper Ruse, was supposed to be the male anchor of the show alongside Stacey's then-husband, Serbian former professional soccer player Goran Vasic. Two foreign-born or foreign-influenced husbands, two twin American mothers, four toddlers under one roof, i.e., Connecticut McMansion. A fashion business in development. It was, in concept, the perfect early 2010s reality show. The trailer introduces fans to what Darcey and Stacey jokingly called Silvatropolis, the combined household where both families lived under one roof. The kids were all young. Aniko Bollok and Aspen Bollok, Darcey's daughters, were toddlers. Mateo Vasic and Parker Vasic, Stacey's sons, were also toddlers. The four cousins were growing up together in one giant blended family, with two twin mothers running the show. The trailer showed this household alive with kids running around, husbands working on their respective careers, the twin sisters trying to launch their fashion brand, and the kind of low-grade chaos that makes for great television. There was even a scene where Darcey and Stacey met with a casting agent, hoping to be the faces of beauty and fashion brands. The casting agent, of course, was probably as confused as the network executives would later be. But the meeting, fans, captured something important about the twins. They were always ambitious. They were always hustling. They were always saying yes to the next pitch, the next meeting, the next opportunity. The Twin Life trailer also included a real moment of family fame. The twins were featured on a segment on The Today Show with Kathy Lee Gifford and Hoda Kotb. The segment was called Double Duty Fashion. The twins talked about their style. They modeled their outfits. They got their moment on national morning television. That segment, fans, was probably the closest thing to a network win the entire Twin Life project ever got. But not all of the Twin Life was light and fun. The trailer also captured a deeper, more vulnerable side of Darcey Silva that has, in many ways, defined her entire reality TV career. In a confessional moment, Darcey opened up tearfully about her relationship with her father, Mike Silva. She said, quote, "My relationship with my father is very important." She said he was a very dedicated and hardworking person. She said she and Stacey wanted to emulate him. It was, fans, the first time fans got to see the soft, tearful, deeply emotional Darcey that would later become a 90-Day Fiancé fan favorite. The Darcey who cries when she talks about love. The Darcey who carries her family in her chest like a sacred trust. Darcey, who, even at the height of her ambition, can be moved to tears thinking about her dad. That Darcey, fans, was already there in 2010. The TLC executives who eventually said yes to her on 90 Day Fiancé. Before the 90 Days in 2017 were responding to a quality that had been visible on a homemade Sizzle reel 7 years earlier. They just did not know it yet. The Twin Life Sizzle reel was sent to multiple networks, and fans, every single one of them passed. The show was not picked up. The Twin Life never made it past the pilot stage. Darcey, in interviews, has acknowledged this with grace. She has said, quote, "For us, it's a memory. Those were special times in our lives." She did not pretend the project did not happen. She did not bury it. She acknowledged it as a stepping stone. But fans, can we just sit with the irony of what happened? In 2010, networks looked at the Twin Life pilot and said no. They did not see what was there. They did not see two twin sisters who would, a decade later, become two of the most iconic women in reality TV history. They did not see Darcey Silva, the woman who would one day make America cry with a single confessional. They did not see Stacey Silva, the woman who would one day deliver one of the most quoted reality TV lines of all time. They did not see House of 11, the brand that would one day be worn by Demi Lovato and Nicki Minaj. They did not see the Times Square billboard. They did not see any of it. They looked at the raw potential of these two women and they said no. And every executive who passed on the Twin Life in 2010, fans, is now in their offices in 2026, knowing somewhere deep inside that they missed the call of their careers. There is also a rumor in fan circles that the twins filmed not just one, but 2 reality TV pitches before TLC eventually picked them up. The second project was reportedly called Darcey and Stacey Life in the Mirror. Fans have circulated rumors about 2 separate trailers for this concept being shot. Like the twin life, that project also failed to find a network home. So the Silva twins, between 2010 and 2017, when 90 Day Fiancé Before the 90 Days finally took Darcy on, were essentially in development hell. They were filming pilots, they were sending Sizzle reels, they were having meetings, they were getting no's. They were watching their marriages fall apart in the background, both Darcey and Stacey eventually divorcing their husbands, Darcy from Frank Bollok and Stacey from Goran Vasic. They were watching their kids grow up. They were watching other reality TV stars get the spots that they were chasing, and they were fans, slowly being shaped by all those no's. Because here is the thing about being told no, over and over, by an industry. It teaches you patience. It teaches you persistence. It teaches you to refine your story. It teaches you to keep your dignity even when the door slams. And by the time Darcy was actually invited onto 90 Day Fiancé in 2017, she was not a green ingenue. She was a woman who had already been told no by every network she pitched and had decided to keep going anyway. That, fans, is the reason she stayed on her phone with Jesse Meester, who she would later meet on the show, for as long as she did. That is the reason she has stayed in love with the idea of love through every breakup. That is the reason she keeps showing up. The twin life rejection, in some ways, built her endurance. Stacey, similarly, did not let the twin life failure stop her. She kept investing in herself. She kept supporting Darcy. She kept building House of 11, which she and Darcy officially launched in October of 2010, the same year as the twin life pilot. So while the show went nowhere, the brand was getting started. The empire, fans, was being built behind the scenes. It just was not a television empire yet. It was about to be a clothing empire first. And when the TV empire finally came in 2020 with the launch of Darcey and Stacey on TLC, the twins did not just have a TV show. They had a fashion line. They had a production company called 11th Entertainment. They had a music career in development. They had history. They had grit. They had everything the twin life had failed to capture, plus a decade of life experience that had made them more interesting, more compelling, more layered than they could have been in 2010. The full twin life trailer is, fans, technically still available online. Various fan archive sites and even Plex have preserved versions of it. If you watch it today, you will see the young Silva twins, before any of the surgery, before any of the heartbreak, before any of the fame, with their toddler children and their then husbands, dreaming a dream that would take them another decade to fulfill. It is, in many ways, a sweet and bittersweet artifact. The twins look softer. They look hopeful. They look like every aspiring family that has ever made a sizzle reel in the hopes that a network will say yes. And watching it now, knowing what eventually happened, knowing the full arc, fans, is a strangely emotional experience. You see 2 women who did not yet know how much they were going to lose. Their brother had already died in 1998, but they had not yet lost their marriages. They had not yet lost their privacy. They had not yet lost the version of themselves before plastic surgery, before international fame, before reality TV chaos. The twin life trailer captures, in a way, the last softness of Darcey and Stacey before the world got to them. Now, here is what I want fans to really understand about why this lost pilot matters. The twin life is not just a footnote. It is the secret origin story of the entire 90 Day Fiancé universe as we know it. Without the twin life, Darcy would not have had the on-camera experience that made her so comfortable on Before the 90 Days in 2017. Without the twin life, 11th Entertainment would not have been founded. Without 11th Entertainment, House of 11 might not exist in the same form. Without House of 11, the twins would not have had a brand to support them when reality TV inevitably ended. Without that support, the empire would not exist. So in the end, fans, every rejection of the twin life in 2010 was a gift in disguise. The networks who said no forced the twins to invest in themselves first. They forced the twins to build a real business. They forced the twins to mature emotionally before they got handed a platform. They forced the twins to lose their first marriages, find new ones, become real characters with real stories worth watching. They forced the twins to be ready by 2017 in ways they could not have been ready in 2010. The twin life rejection, fans, was the best thing that ever happened to the Silva twins. And they would probably tell you that themselves if you asked them today. So tell me, fans, in the comments below, honestly, if networks had picked up the twin life in 2010, do you think Darcey and Stacey would be bigger than the Kardashian-Jenners today? Or would the show have flamed out, taking them with it, before they ever became the icons we know? Did you know that Frank Bollok, Darcey's first husband, was an up and coming rapper? Will you go listen to his old music tonight? Would you have watched Silvatropolis as a real ongoing series with Darcey and Stacey and Frank and Goran and all 4 kids under one Connecticut roof? Or would the format have felt forced? And the big question, fans, was the twin life rejection the best thing that ever happened to the Silva twins? Or do you wish it had been picked up so we could have watched them grow on camera for the last 16 years? Tell me where you stand. I want to read every answer. And if you have ever been told no by an industry, an employer, a school, a publisher, or a network, and kept going anyway until eventually yes came, drop a fire emoji in the comments below. Let's flood the comments with fire tonight. For Darcey, for Stacey, for everybody who built their dream the long way. If this hits you somewhere honest, smash that like button. Subscribe for new 90-day Fiancé documentaries every single week. Share this with the friend you always send Silva twin throwbacks to. This was, and we will see you in the next one.